Taylor Swift leads this year's American Music Awards, AMAs, with 8 nominations, including Artist of the Year, Song of the Year for The Fate of Ophelia, and Album of the Year for The Life of a Showgirl, organizers said on Tuesday. The pop superstar, who has won more AMAs than any other artist in the show's history, received 6 nominations last year. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb has met with the United States Commerce Secretary to discuss ways to boost bilateral economic partnership and briefed an International Monetary Fund (IMF) official about the Middle East conflict's economic impact on Pakistan, the Finance Ministry said on Wednesday. Aurangzeb arrived in Washington on Monday to represent Pakistan at the World Bank Group and IMF Spring Meetings 2026. During his visit, the finance czar was expected to participate in over 50 high-level engagements from April 13 to 18. An Indian national was charged with the alleged sexual assault of a woman on a Perth-bound flight, Australian media reported on Wednesday. The 52-year-old man, according to the Australian Federal Police, AFP, and the Western Australia Police, committed non-consensual sexual acts on a woman seated next to him on the flight on Monday, which was headed from Singapore to Perth. News. Com.au reported. The conflict in the Gulf, now under a fragile 2-week ceasefire after 42 days of intense fighting, is not just being shaped by missiles, bombs, and interception systems alone. It is also reshaping the battleground itself. This is starkly visible at Iran's Qeshm Island. Islamabad, the federal government on Wednesday announced a special subsidy program for farmers to mitigate the adverse impact of the global energy crisis. According to an official announcement, farmers owning less than 12 acres of land will be eligible for the subsidy. There used to be a cafe inside Kohl Gallery in Karachi's Clifton area. A cafe that had somehow sustained itself over whispers about their shikanj bean, lemonade being good, and maybe a creamy spinach and asparagus dip served with pita bread. It had a whole lot of other things too, but recommendations from diners rarely ever moved beyond the aforementioned items. You'd think if a cafe in Karachi just focused on having maybe 1 or 2 worthy food items, it surely had to be struggling. Maybe it was, but not as much as you think. You see, the ambience was so tastefully done, and it was located inside one of the most happening art galleries. Sunlight poured through from every direction, illuminating every corner. You couldn't hide there even if you tried. It was bright and green, surrounded by plants and vibes, as people now say on the internet. President Donald Trump's move to blockade all Iranian shipments in and out of the Strait of Hormuz poses a serious threat to the fragile ceasefire and may jeopardize any potential for further negotiations between Washington and Tehran. This decision was made just hours after high-level talks in Islamabad that, although not resulting in any formal agreement, had left the door open for continued discussions. Through the blockade, Trump wants to force Iran to accept the terms presented by American Vice President J.D. Vance during last weekend's talks in Islamabad. However, this escalatory action to restrict access to the critical waterway may not achieve what the U.S. 6-week military campaign failed to accomplish. Iran has threatened to resume attacks on American military assets in the Gulf if the naval embargo is not lifted, rendering the situation more volatile. The U.S. threat to cut off Iran's oil exports could draw other countries, both from the region and beyond, into the conflict. There has understandably been widespread rejoicing over the comeuppance of Viktor Orbán in last Sunday's Hungarian elections. For the past 16 years, he has served as something of a role model for fascist-adjacent political forces across Europe and far beyond. Amid indications that his far-right Fidesz party might be ousted after 4 terms of parliamentary supermajorities that enabled its leader to pursue his reprehensible agenda, ideological allies from across the continent, and even Latin America, descended on Budapest to bolster their beleaguered idol's chances for a 5th term. They were followed by Donald Trump's emissaries Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. Benjamin Netanyahu has hitherto found a warm welcome in Budapest, and Hungary has stood out among EU states as an unabashed member of the Vladimir Putin fan club. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif will depart from Islamabad for Jeddah today on official visits to Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Qatar, the Foreign Office, FO, said on Wednesday. Prime Minister Mohammed Shehbaz Sharif will undertake official visits to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the State of Qatar, and the Republic of Turkey from 15-18 April. The FO said in a statement posted to social media platform X. The Pakistan Stock Exchange's PSX benchmark KSE 100 index gained over 4,300 points during intraday trade on Wednesday, sustaining its bullish momentum for a second consecutive day. The positive trend comes amid hopes that peace talks between the United States and Iran will proceed to a second round, with US President Donald Trump saying they are more likely to be held in Islamabad.